Hello friends, welcome back to Tank Talks. This is Ian. We are here with another one of my tanks. I've made too many in the past few months, but it's a deep rabbit hole. But anyway, this is a Predator tank. It's going to be for a Dragon Moray, Japanese Dragon Moray. If I can get a pair, I will. If I can't, I'll get one. And that's all it's going to be up here. And maybe some ditter fish like damsels and stuff like that. They're too fast for them to catch. Right now there are a few Bangai Canals in there just to test the water because I have no idea when dragon eels are coming in. But the catch is the water will overflow down and then go into this display refugium. I kind of thought it was a little silly to make a tank just for one fish, given the expenditure. And I was like, what could I do? So I talked to Hui Shan, who was the tank maker, the company she works with made this for me. And I said I wanted a display refugium. But I did not expect it to be this size. Because we figured that it had to be maybe a little small square at the side, put little seahorses, that's kind of cool. But we're like, what if we made it really big? So here we are. So what's going to happen is all the corals in this tank right now are soft corals. There are some MPS, we can show you a couple later. They're mostly toadstools, clove polyps, leathers, sinularias, all that kind of stuff, canyon trees. So the point of it is to fill the bottom area with canyon trees and Xenia, GSP, like stuff that grows very fast and absorbs all the nutrients, and that acts as a refugium as opposed to macroalgae. I personally haven't found a lot of macroalgae apart from Kato and Calopa in Singapore. There's no cool like dragon's breath. I mean, I guess they are. I just haven't seen it. So I figured I'd go with the softy route because it's cheap and they grow really fast. Macroalgae doesn't grow that quickly, and I wanted to make sure that the nutrient export is very high because of the nature of the fish I'm going to keep. So the eels are going here, and in this part of the tank, there are going to be a bunch of rhinopeus. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Rhinopeus, I don't know how you say it, but they're scorpion fishes. With the weedy scorpion and the paddle flaps. So I'm going to have about maybe get 3 or 5 of them. They don't need a lot of space. So they actually just kind of sit there and sway. They move so little that like algae literally grows on their body and they have to slough it off. So they don't need a lot of space. So they're just going to be on their rock and they're just going to be chilling. And they're going to take live mollies or glass shrimp first. And then hopefully get them onto frozen. Some people are never able to get them to do that, but that's fine. I'm okay feeding whatever they need to eat. And they will inhabit the bottom of the tank. There will be Catalufa soldier fish, everyone's favorite big-eyed guy. I have one. I'm reserved right now. There's a thought of getting a school, but I think I might need 3 or 4 or 5, and I don't think there's enough space. So it might just be the one. And maybe some volitans, some lionfish. It's going to be pretty predatory, and it's going to be really nasty to stick my hand in there if anything drops. So I hope that doesn't happen. So that's kind of it. Not a lot of fish, I don't think, for 250 gallons. So this is 120 length, 80 wide, and 40 cm deep, centimeters. And then this is 60 by 80 by 80. So this is they're about 100 gallons each. And then the sump, sump's about a little over 50 gallons. We'll show you the sump later. In terms of equipment, we have Red Sea Reef mat that we showed in the review before. We plugged it in. It's the 1200 that gets plumbed in here. So the overflow is here. We have the waterfall turned off right now because the return pump is a bit faulty. So we're going to get that fixed pretty soon. But the overflow goes inside here, goes to the Red Sea reefer. The mat cleans it out. Anything overflows goes into a filter flush chamber, and then to the skimmer, and then back to the return area and chiller, and then back to the tank on top. Right there to a duct mouth, and then it goes up all the way again. So that's kind of how it works. So I'm really excited to finally kind of get this done. It was done rather quickly actually, but still, as you can see, some of the snails are crawling up. It's pretty funny. But there will be algae on this pane eventually, so I don't really think that's an issue. It's just kind of fun to watch. I just pluck them out and put them down once in a while. So we have Radions here. We have 2 XR15 blues and 1 XR30 Pro. I went into the 2 blues here for more coverage, more even coverage. I could have gone with a single XR30 blue, but I think the edges would have been a bit darker and I didn't like that. I wanted more of a flatter look here, with a little bit of shimmer. And because there's only 40 cm deep, which is, what is that in inches? I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely at 40%, it'll penetrate to the bottom fine. And I'm keeping softies and MPS here, so it doesn't really matter. For this, however, I wanted it to be on the same plane, otherwise it looked really weird. And if I put this any lower, there might be some resultant water damage and a lot of salt creep. So we kept it up. But because of that, to compensate, this is about 20 inches from the surface. But once again, I'm keeping softies, not going to need all light. But I probably have to turn this up a lot and it will penetrate down to where it needs to go. And it's a nice cast size. You can actually see the light spill is pretty bad. But in the same fashion that we had the Radeon light covers that we made, we're going to slip them on, but this time 4 areas because it's a peninsula. And yeah, that's kind of it. The rockscape was made by myself. It's actually quite interesting, but since there's livestock in there, I don't really want to move it around. But basically what I did was that I had learned my lesson with the 7-foot tank of having a giant pieces of rock is that I can't move them. And why would you want to move them? Because if you have tanks that are beating each other up and you want to catch someone out, it's pretty much impossible. So what I did here was I made it modular. So this rock piece is actually made out of 3. So I encased PVC with rock, and then I just kind of put them together so it looks like it's a structure, but actually if I wanted to get the eel out or get a fish out, I can simply remove the structures one by one and make space. Or in case I want to change it up a little bit. The same with that side, there is a giant piece, but underneath it, there's a acrylic rod support. So I can lift that whole piece up and deal with it, deal whatever I need to do, and then kind of sit it back into that plate. But yeah, it's pretty much pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's just the shape of it is a bit different, but it doesn't function any differently from a regular tank. We're not doing anything revolutionary there. You can just think of it as this is your overflow in your regular tank, and this is your sump. The refugium part of your sump. So that's basically it, just that we chose to display it. So yeah, and the fact that it's peninsula was also interesting. It was a cool aquascape project. And as you can see, I have a whole bench there that's not quite a workbench, but as far as Singaporean DIY goes, it's a thing. So yeah, there's a bunch of snails here, 5 bungai cardinals, and that's it. So once it's already cycled, clearly it's only been a couple of days, but with media and bottle back, ammonia alert badge shows yellow, fish are alive, cleaner shrimp is alive. That to me is all systems are go. So yeah, so hopefully in the next couple of days, I will be able to pick up my scorpion fish and my catalufa, and we'll have them here first. This will still remain empty. I kind of want to fill this out with corals first before I get the eel, because I don't want to put my hands in there, man. So I'm going to fill it up as much as possible with softies. Filling it with softies isn't as scary as filling it up with LPS or SPS, where sunny is a huge alkalinity intake, and they're pretty tough. So yeah, the reason why I chose softies is because the eel does not eat coral, but it can rampage and wreck stuff. So they're going to break your twigs, your branches, and the LPS will keep retracting, and they probably won't like it. Whereas sea fans or big toadstools, whatever, they don't really get bothered that much. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I want to keep eels with a bunch of other stuff, but I might try it like really large angels, but I'd probably be prepared to lose the angels, because I read on a forum post that eels can just fold the fish in half, which is kind of scary. And they do that knot thing where they grab, they turn their body in a knot and they rip it off. So it is kind of scary, but they tend to be a bit shy. So if they get really big angels, boisterous angels like emperors or queens, it might work. I do have a pair of line spot triggers coming in. They're about 4 inches. It's a little small for me to want to risk it here, but I may put them here or in the 7-foot. But with the new tanks, I'm not sure there's enough space. So yeah, so that's kind of the update on this project. Well, not update, the introduction to this project. We'll show you the filtration in a bit, and some of the corals and some of the stuff we have going on. So see you in a bit. Okay, so welcome back to Tank Talks. We are here back with the Waterfall Predator Tank. I guess that's what we're calling it now. We're talking about the sump now. So we previously talked about how the display is the eel, kind of waterfalls down into the very big display refugium, and then goes in from the back here, and it tees off 2 ways, one into the Red Sea reefer, reef mat, and then one into an extra tray in case it overfills. I have a valve here I can control. I'm generally always going to put it through here, Unless I have a huge slime outbreak and I don't want to be wasting the fleece, I can actually make sure it comes here and get rid of it more economically. But either way, there's like a bunch of biohome in here, biological material, and then the rest of it goes to the skimmer, which is rated for 1,500 liters. I think the tank is only about 900 liters. So that's pretty good. And then it goes back into back into the return chamber. And it goes to the chiller, which is right behind me under the table, and then comes back here, goes to return, and then back up through a UV, back to the top. So the interesting thing is, we've added a T here so that the return pump can either send water back here as well as here. We also have valves to control the flow of where it's going to go. Depending if I choose to keep maybe seahorses here in the future, I want very low flow, we can deal with that. So we set out a lot of contingencies in case plans change and we don't have to make so many future amendments down the road. A bit more messy up front, costly up front, but gives you the flexibility, which I would enjoy. So these valves are all, I don't know, I think they're called check valves. So once, if it shuts off and the water gushes back, it actually caps the thing and the water won't overflow the sump. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to me. I've never seen it up to this point. So yeah, there's a lot more valves for me to play around and tune it to my liking. Right now, it is off because the return pump is faulty. There's something inside that's whirring around. We're going to get it replaced. So we have it off as I'm talking on, so you'll not be able to hear me. Otherwise, you'll see water gushing through here, gushing to the mat. The mat is not on. There's no real reason to turn it on yet. The water is pretty clear. The UV is also not on. The skimmer is not on because I'm still adding bacteria to the tank. I don't want to mess with it. There's no real reason to turn it on either. There's like 5 bungai cardinal there and a bunch of coral. So none of that is needed at the moment. I'm also seeding the tank with pods and live phyto, so I don't want the UV to kind of mess around with it. The UV is there and probably going to remain off until I see bacterial blooms or I see, maybe some parasite stuff getting a bit out of control. I can tune the flow rate to it. So that's kind of what it's there for. Once again, redundancy. I think UV sterilizers are definitely not required for success, but I have it on all my tanks because it's just such a good QOL. It's like you just plug it in, you pay some money up front, you pay it in, you plug it in 24/7, it runs, it gets rid of potential bacterial blooms, algae blooms, dinos. May not kill it entirely, but certainly will help a lot along the way. My nano, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to fit a nano, a UV in my nano, but I found one that slotted in a nice AIO at the back, and it worked great. Got rid of the bacterial blooms, got rid of dinos, so I'm like, I'm sold at this point. Bacterial blooms can be dangerous in the sense to your fish, not because it will kill it, but because it's taking in so much oxygen that your fish may be deprived of oxygen and then die. And if you're not at home to catch it, if you're not in time to see what's going on, you may return home to a lot of dead fish. But with the UV sterilizer, it just zaps all that stuff away, and you won't really have that problem. So it's kind of why I'm sold on it. So my systems, if it's not broken, I don't change it. Reef mat's been great. UV's been great. I'm using the same models, the 80 watt Deltec UV. Let's see, 1200. I'm also using a Deltec skimmer on the other side, but that one has 2 pumps. That one is rated for like 3,000 liters. There was not much space to fit here, and I bought that second hand, so that was the only reason why I could afford it. This one, still 1,500, is good enough. If we're going with the whole softy nutrient export plus the mat, I think we'll be fine. So yeah, I honestly think that my 7-foot bioload is going to be way more than this predator tank because I have way more fish there. And there are tanks, they're swimming about, they're pooping, I'm feeding it like a crap ton a day. So I think, all in all, I think this should be sufficient. Because at the end of the day, I can only put a eel here and a bunch of different predators there who eat maybe once a week. So yeah, it's not going to be too bad. It's a very simple, straightforward setup, nothing crazy here. It just looks kind of cool, but like honestly, if you did it without this tank, it's the same. So yeah, that's kind of it. So if you imagine the sump was actually this whole area up to there, just that's the refugium. But that's it for the sump. Let us know what you think. What will you change? What can you think I can change? Or what doesn't make sense? What puzzles you? I haven't figured it out much because the tank's just been set up this past week. So if I'm missing any potential pitfalls, you know, I'm sure someone in the comments will let me know. So like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next episode.